Hello, I'm Russell. In 2010, 3 friends took lottery winnings and started a distillery. We get to take a look.
Are you just cleaning it out? Filling her up? Oh, perfect. What do you think? So, about 2012 is kind of when they started distilling. And they started off distilling whiskey. For whiskey to be considered Canadian whiskey, you do have to age it for 3 years in an American oak barrel.
Okay.
So that's why they got into vodka. So for a long time, our kind of saying around here was vodka pays the bills while we're waiting for whiskey just to age.
So it's not just vodka?
No. So we do vodka, and then we do gin as well, which is just kind of like the first ever flavored vodka.
Okay.
We do whiskey, we do rum, and then we do liqueurs. And we've also recently got into RTD, ready to drink cocktails basically. So they started off in 2012 in like a little 2,000 square foot building, kind of the size of the event space.
Yep.
And they bought ginger. Ginger's a German copper pox, came in pieces all the way from Germany.
It's beautiful. It's some mix of, some parts look like it's very industrial, and then a lot of it just because of the copper. It looks kind of steampunk.
The copper is just that softer metal. So when you're distilling, you're changing a liquid into a vapor back to a liquid. So the idea with the copper is that it's a softer metal, so any of the impurities that you have are going to actually stick to that softer metal. It's a little harder to like just kind of hit it and bounce off. And ginger is really cool because for our vodka, we distill it 7 times. So you actually can do 7 distillations in ginger all at once because it actually has copper plates. If you kind of look through here, you can see that there's copper plates in between.
It was too dark to see inside the still at this time, but we get to take a look later when the lights turn on.
It's turning into a vapor, and then when it's hitting inside all these stills, they're inside, so in the still between the plates, it's going to change back to liquid and it's going to do it again. And then you can sense this, what you're going to do for your heads and your tails. Once it gets a little bit more dense, then you want to turn that off.
The liquid to be distilled enters the vertical column and is heated and vaporized. Trays separate each section in the column. Alcohol vapor condenses on the cooler trays, separating out heavier Fusel alcohols such as isoamyl and isobutyl.
Basically what she's going to put in there right now would be moonshine. So it's kind of like your first, it's been distilled one time. We've taken our grain, we've put it in here, mashed it up, put it back in our fermentation tanks, let it sit there for a couple weeks, and then we put it in Magic Mike, which is our stripping still, and we're going to do a first distillation. It's going to work the exact same way. We're going to heat up with steam. It's going to turn into a vapor and suck back in here, and once that's done, we basically just turned our grain into like about an 80-90% alcohol moonshine.
So the water about halfway up the window there, and then oil.
The first thing she's going to do is take off the really light alcohol that's in it. It's called your head, and it's basically rubbing alcohol. You don't want to drink any of this stuff. So it's all done by density. So once she gets it going, she's going to start pouring off a whole bunch of that stuff that you're not going to want. So out of the tank, I think about 5 liters or something usually take off.
We usually put 3 to 5 liters,
3 to 5 liters off there, our vodka, until you get down to the last little bit of it, and that's going to be your tails. It's going to be like really oily alcohols. I actually have
It says heads, so you have heads and tails.
Heads and tails. So if you smell that, you don't want that in your vodka. Terrible.
It's strong. Yeah.
And then your oily ones are your tails.
Right. It's got a little bit of a yellowish color to it.
Totally.
Okay.
Funny story, the reason we have more heads in there than tails is because I was giving a tour once to the bachelor party, and one of the guys thought he could take a swig. He was like, oh, it can't be that bad. So watching him try not to vomit in front of all his clothes, it was so worth it.
Disgusting. So disgusting.
I wonder about this part here. Because this looks like, I mean, it's near the top, but it looks like something's supposed to come out of it, to drain out of it.
So what do you use that for?
That's mostly just for cleaning.
Okay.
Still, if we're making gin, we have to barrel it in by hand rather than going to the pump because of all the mechanicals.
Okay.
So we don't want to get clogged in here. So like open that up and put it in by hand.
Start off with the whiskey. So we didn't really go through the whole like process of how we start. So like basically with any thing we're gonna make here, we're gonna start with a grain, and it's gonna be in that mash kettle down there. So for us to make whiskey, we're gonna put whatever grain we want to make whiskey out of. Could be barley, could be wheat, could be rye, could be anything that we kind of want to use. And when we make whiskey, we can actually add some flavors in there too. And we're gonna basically just cook up a big batch of porridge, and then we're gonna let that cook for about 4 or 5 hours, and then we're gonna take that porridge and run it through a liquid grain separator. So we're going to get rid of the grain and only keep the water that we put in there. And the water now is taking that sugar out of the grain. And we're going to add in yeast in these tanks right here. And basically, if we're going to make whiskey, what we do is we just make a beer in these tanks. And then whiskey is basically just distilled beer. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it in Magic Mike, distill it one time, and then go through ginger and distill it out 2 more times, and have it distilled 3 times for our whiskey.
The motor here, this is to stir whatever's
Absolutely,
inside.
yeah.
Okay.
To keep everything moving. Yeah.
Yeah, that stirs it, and then when it's distilled, everything goes up top.
Yeah, and then collects
Condenses,
back in that
collects
same
them.
chamber. In the same way that that one had that little tap that we're going to take the heads and tails off, we're going to do the exact same thing with the whiskey when we distill it as well. You want to get rid of those alcohols that you don't actually want to drink.
I can see the piping, and I understand that valve would open up down below, and you could get some liquid out. But why this, and why the shape? It looks like a bottle would almost sit on top.
It's for a barrel to slide underneath of it.
Okay.
That's, I believe, where you're going to take your heads and your tails off of it. So when we do have all sorts of whiskey just sitting around everywhere. I think it's this one. Yeah, so when we made these 2 whiskeys, this one I believe was, we made kind of like a chocolate porter. It's like a dark beer. So we have chocolate and a little bit of vanilla in there, and you can stick your nose right in there and smell it. And this one we made out of a wheat. So we made kind of like a shock top or like a Kronenberg 1664 Blanc.
Okay.
And we added honey and lavender into this one. You can stick
It's
your nose
tasty.
right in there.
Yeah. It's not like smelling the the tails.
No.
It's just flavorful.
When you distill something, it's going to go clear. So all of your color that you're going to get from your whiskey or your rum type thing is going to come from the char inside the barrel. And then there's our angel wings. Basically just your evaporation out of your barrel over time, which happens quite a bit actually. Kyle, our head distiller, he opened up a barrel of rum that we had going for 8 years.
Yep.
There was 3 of them. One of the barrels was basically empty when he went to go open it. So the angel stole all of our rum. It could have just been that barrel was breathing a little bit too much.
Right.
But there is no timeline for anything. It's all trial and error. What happens is you're just going to take some of the whiskey or rum out of the barrel and try it. And if it's good, then you bottle it. If it's not, then you let it age for longer. Our kind of our last step for vodka is after we've distilled it 7 times, we're going to put it back into one of these totes, and it's going to be sitting at 80% alcohol. So we're going to blend it down with some water, get it down to our 40%, and then we're going to run it through our filtration system. We chill it down to about 2 degrees. You know when you put like a bottle of alcohol in the freezer and it gets a little thicker?
Kind of syrupy.
Yeah. So then when we run it through our filtration system, it's going to collect all the impurities out of out of the vodka that we missed in the distilling process. One of the reasons why we really can put premium on our bottle is it goes through extremely slow. You can see it's actually running right now, and you can see the weight, how it's going so slow through the filtration system.
Looks very industrial.
Yeah.
You could find this in a warehouse or a farm, and then suddenly it's into these really pretty...
It's actually charcoal, platinum and silver filters inside of them. And charcoal all the way down to a finer filter through every single time it goes through. For us to get the filters is kind of tough actually. But
this one says India.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to seeing things from India.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
this whole system's from India. Yeah.
the other one was German, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And German's very, very popular spot for stills. And once we've done that, we're basically going to have our tote of our vodka, and that's where we can start doing some of our flavoring as well. So we do a dill pickle vodka, mostly kind of for Caesars. Basically, what we do is we're going to mix our vodka with dill pickle brine, and then we're going to filter it one more time, and it kind of just takes the edge off of the brine.
yeah.
Gin is down here. Gin's kind of a cool one. We actually distill it one more time. It's our most distilled product. So basically, we're going to take our vodka, we're going to put all of our botanicals right inside it. We're going to let it sit there, and it's basically going to get like kind of a little darker color. We do a New Western Dry. It's got saskatoon berries in it, lemon peel, chamomile, anise, as well as the juniper. And it's just going to steep there for a couple weeks, and then it's the best smelling day here is when they run everything back into what Shannon was saying, but dumping it, you have to dump it in the front because it's got everything in there, and it smells unbelievable. And it goes in that dark color, and it's going to come out crystal clear. I'm like, where's the Dr. Pepper Dry? For a little while, we did get some like kind of second-hand barrels, because down in the States, they slightly will use their barrel for a certain amount of time and then switch it to a new barrel. So there was a whole bunch of these barrels that are just slightly used. So we were getting some of those. Now we've basically gone to just straight brand new American oak barrels, which you can see are kind of the nicer looking ones.
Yeah.
We're gonna let it age until we think that it's ready to be consumed.
Getting barrels from the States, yeah, you get what's affordable, what's available. What about for Canada? There's a lot of trees here, but is it the right oak?
It's got to be all of those things above, right?
Garry Oak grows along the Pacific coast of Canada and the United States. White oak grows in southern Ontario. Oak barrels in central Canada can be purchased from closer U.S. cooperages, or barrel or cask makers.
The char is what's going to give you your flavor. It's also going to act as like a filtration system. So the longer that your whiskey's going to sit, or your rum, in a barrel, that charcoal in it is going to smooth out your edges on your whiskey. It's going to change the profile. They come charred on the inside. We soak them a little bit to make sure that they're expanded so they don't leak at all. And then we're going to just put our whiskey in. The char is one of the most important parts. That's where you're going to get some of that smokiness in your whiskey as well. We also are doing the RTDs, the ready to drink cocktails. So what we do is a saskatoon berry iced tea. It's a 0 sugar. It's got our vodka as its base. It's 5%. It's kind of tart more than sweet. It does have like a little bit of stevia in it. This guy is insane. The last time I saw it running, I was checking it out for how many cans it was doing per minute. 25 cans per minute.
Almost every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah. Basically, the cans get loaded here, and they actually get flipped over, and they get rinsed out and sanitized.
Okay.
And they come back in, and actually the first 3 is gonna blow the can out, make sure that there's absolutely no liquid or anything in the can. Then the last 3 actually fill it, and then it comes over here, and our tops, they come down, and it spins around and just compresses the top on. And it's like, it all happens all, like you said, in 2 seconds. Like, it's insane. They do can probably about once a week. It just flies.
Heard a lot from the news about people drinking more with COVID, but staying at home and drinking more. Was there a boost in sales? Yeah.
It's like we definitely lost some of our sales to restaurants and bars, but our at-home liquor store sales definitely went up. Yeah, so Shannon's moved over. She's bottling some vodka. When it's glass, it's gonna be the same thing as the cans. We're gonna load them all in here. You're gonna see it's gonna get flipped over. It's gonna get rinsed out, sanitized, and then it's gonna slide 8 bottles down.
They're flipping over and
it's just gonna wait for the other 4 bottles to get down there, and then it's gonna fill them all at the same time. If it is glass, where Shannon's down there, she's putting a cork in every one. We also can do plastic on this thing too, so we do 750s in glass, but then we do 375s, 1150s, and 1750s all in plastic on this as well. So if it's plastic, we actually are going to put a screw on top, and there's an air ratchet right above Shannon's head, so it sounds like a tire shop in here during the day. It's kind of nuts. She's also going to put on a plastic top, which is going to get heat shrinked right when it comes to the heater.
yep, in one end it's loose and out the other, and it's heat shrink. They just go for a ride.
They're going for a ride, and they're spin around until Shannon comes back over here and is going to put a label on.
This is bacon bitters.
That's bacon bitters. So we have it in our store. In the bar, we use it in our Caesars to add a little bit of bacon flavor. It's just a bacon flavored heated whiskey. We use a spray bottle, so you can spray it into your glass before you make any type of cocktail. Put the label on, we're going to box it up, and we're going to store it back here. And then we do have 2 delivery drivers that do northern Saskatchewan, so they're out on the road right now delivering all across northern Saskatchewan. And we have a company in Regina that does all of our distribution for us in the south. In Saskatchewan, we've just gone to privatized liquor stores.
Yep.
So the only other province we're really in is Alberta, because they're privatized as well.
Yeah.
It's really hard for us to be able to break through in the other provinces. We're also still on that micro distillery level. Their orders they want are going to be huge, because they don't want to be ordering from us every single month. We definitely try to use everything from Saskatchewan as well, or source it from as locally as we possibly can.
That's not a normal 90-degree bend. So that's why, like, out of all the conduits and stuff up there, there's electrical, there's sprinklers, there's gas. Like, gas will make the 90-degree changes. Yeah. But this is a really wide 90, so I look to see what the other end of it is.
I'll show you. So it does come all the way to our mash kettle. When we're gonna make our very first, our wort, that porridge, we're gonna send the grain through that line. So we're actually gonna grind the grain in our back room, and then it's gonna be sent through that pipe all the way into this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it gets in here, that's where we're gonna add the water.
Okay.
And turn it into a porridge.
So it's solid then. It needs a nice gradual 90.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with certain grains, like something like a rye is really gummy.
It makes me think of, there's vacuum tubes that department stores would have to send money from the cashiers.
Totally.
Or mailrooms in big skyscrapers.
It was such a wonderful opportunity to see the process of the distillery and the happy, passionate people. Logistics can be difficult in a sparsely populated area of Canada. Thank you for watching. Links with more info are in the description below, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos.